You could win 80% of your sports bets and still go broke. I'm going to show you exactly how that happens and the two things that matter more than any pick that you'll ever make. Most people think that sports betting consists of making the right picks. As long as you make the right picks, then you're going to win. But that's actually not the case. And there's actually two important steps that you need to learn besides creating the right picks. Because you could be right majority of the time, but if you don't have these two key concepts, you're still going to lose all of your money. Let's start with the first one, and possibly the most important one, really. And it is your mental game, okay? The reason behind your mental game and why this is so important is because, like I said, you could pick right the majority of the time. But if your mental game is not tip-top shape for sports betting, then you will lose all of your money. For example, when it comes down to chasing, which is a huge thing when it comes to any type of sports betting or gambling, any of that, when you get the emotion that comes across your body when you lose a bet, it's just natural as a human being that we get emotion, okay? And the emotion comes from our brain signaling that we need to win back money that has been lost, okay? So when there is a loss, you have to win it back. The emotion dictates that. Your brain tells you that because your brain can't comprehend taking a loss. It just can't because your brain thinks, I should have won, right? Every single time you place a bet, you don't place a bet thinking you're going to lose. You place a bet thinking you're going to win. So when you lose, your emotion triggers something in your brain that makes you think, well, I should have won that. So I need to figure out a way to get back what it is that I lost. They'll go and put double their money on the next bet. And then majority of the time what ends up happening, they lose this one as well because they have chose this bet through emotion, okay? Not through anything else, not through logic, but through emotion. So once through emotion they've made an ill-advised bet, majority of the time that's going to lose. Next thing you know, now you have doubled to tripled the amount of money that you lost just because you were emotionally out of control and your brain tells you I need to win it back. And then the most common thing that happens right after this is one of two things. Either half of the money that they have left goes on a bet or they go all in. Why? Because same thing with the brain is triggering. I need to win this money back. I got to get it back. So they only last a couple plays of doubling up before they go all in and take all the money that they have, whether it's in their bankroll, their bank account, in their pocket, whatever, and place it all on an ill-advised bet. And guess what ends up happening? Majority of the time, you end up with absolutely $0 left in your account because you end up losing absolutely everything. Now, this really has nothing to do with picks, okay? This has to do with the mentality. And I'm going to show you that in an example, reason why picks don't correlate to this, okay? Yes, this example right here shows this is what happens when somebody loses 3 straight, but it's not always that case. Let's use an example here of, we're going to say Jamal, all right? Let's say Jamal places 3 bets, okay? First bet, he ends up winning. Second bet, he ends up winning. Third bet, he ends up losing. What happens here, okay? He's happy, right? First bet, happy. Second bet, happy. Third bet, not too happy, right? What happens here? The emotion kicks in, okay? He ends up taking an L on his third one. So he's won the prior 2 though. So he's actually up money here. If we're just using straight up, let's just say even money, okay? Let's say it's even money across the board, what he's betting here, okay? He's up money right now. But his brain, when this one happens, doesn't necessarily make him think that he's up money. If he didn't track his stuff, he wouldn't really know, okay? He would see this loss, and then he would start to feel a bit emotional. So what does he do after that? He goes and makes an ill-advised bet, right? Tries to double up next, here. Ends up taking a loss here. So now what has he done? Instead of being 2-2 and pretty much breaking even, what he has done here is he won the first one, won the second one, lost the third one, but doubled up on the fourth one. So actually, now he is down because now he's actually essentially lost 3 because he doubled up here, okay? So now that puts his record at 2-3, okay? And now he's down money because he made a bad decision. And again, what does this do? This triggers an even worse decision. So most likely he goes, digs in his pocket, and goes all in on this one. And then he ends up taking a loss there as well. And guess what happens now? Now he's 2-4 and he has $0 left in his account. Just in a span of making a couple bad decisions after a loss. So how you respond to a loss is the most important part of sports betting. Because if you don't know how to respond to a loss, you're never going to be able to get ahead. No matter how much you are ahead, all it's going to take is a couple losses for the brain to trigger something in you to just trigger that emotion to do stupid stuff. And I see it day in and day out in the sports betting industry where people will lose control just off of a couple losses. They will snowball and they'll lose everything in their account when if they just stuck to the system that they were doing, guess what? This stuff would never happen because look, if he just stuck to the system he was at, he was 2-1. Okay, with his original system that he did, he was 2-1, he was up money. If he just stuck to that and just saw that through, this wouldn't happen. Where he's getting doubling up and then he's going all in because he's making these plays based off of what? His emotion, okay? It's so important. Your emotional control is what's going to dictate how much money is in your account, how much money you're going to make. And it's not just in sports betting, it's actually in life. Okay, your emotion will dictate whether you are successful or not. People that don't have control over their emotions and they lose control constantly, those people are not successful. Okay, if you can't control your emotions and you can't control what you do on a daily basis and control your brain and your mind, then you're out of control. Okay, you are out of control, and that snowballs into bad things. There's no difference between this and real life. Now there's another key concept that I want to explain here that's very, very important for the sports bettor. And this is going to be what I addressed first, where people think the right picks is what's most important, okay? Because based off of what? Most of the time when somebody is placing a bet on a game, most of the time it's because why? They feel like it's going to win, okay? You ever see that with like your buddy? You ask your buddy like, hey, why do you think Michigan's going to win this game? Because I just think they're a better team. I feel like they're the better team. I feel good about them winning this game, okay? Here's the thing that I want you to tell every single person that tells you they feel good about a certain bet, all right? This is what it is. Very simple, okay? It's not about how you feel, okay? It's about what the numbers can prove. It's just like the judicial system. It's not about what's right. It's about what you can prove in court. There's no difference when it comes to sports betting as well. What you feel like is going to win doesn't matter. What the numbers can prove is what actually matters. So for example, if you think the Yankees, for example, are going to win just because you feel like they're the better team and they're going against, let's say, the Red Sox, you just think they're the better team and you think they're going to win. But if you look at their head-to-head trends and what? In the last 10 games, they're 2-8. The numbers prove different. Doesn't matter what you feel like. Doesn't matter if you feel like the Yankees are a better team. When you look at the numbers, what does that prove? That proves that they actually aren't the better team in the last 10 matchups. Now let's go ahead and jump into my tracker real quick because there's something I want to share with you. Let's go ahead and take a look, and I mean we do got to go back a decent amount of time here, but there was a stretch in January that was pretty rocky, all right? And if we take a look right here, so you see we go back-to-back losses there. I get one win that doesn't get my money back. Then I get another 2 losses. Then I get another win that doesn't get any of that money back. Then I get another 2 losses on top of that. That little stretch right there could literally mentally put you out of the game, because if you don't trust your strategy and you don't know that it's going to work, you could literally have just donated all your money because you could have just went all in on one of these plays here. And necessarily wouldn't even have been one of these plays because you could have just triggered that emotional, glitch that I like to call it, and then you end up just throwing all your money on an ill-advised bet that doesn't follow the strategy that you're doing. But what happens is when you have control, okay, when you have control over what you're doing and you know the strategy that you have works, here's an example of what happens, okay? As we keep scrolling up, what happens here? We start stringing the wins together. Then the next thing you know, you're going on crazy streaks here where you're winning 5 or 6 in a row and getting one loss in between those. And then you go on just crazy stretches of winning, which that is the consistency behind it. Okay? If you have the consistency to know that the strategy that you have works, then you know that if I just stick to it, eventually I'm going to get my money back and then I'm going to make more on top of that. But if you don't, then that stretch right there, you literally would end up losing all of your money because you would just go all in on an ill-advised bet and then you'd be out of the game. So you wouldn't even live long enough to be able to see the other side here. And that's why it's so important to have control over what you're doing and have a strategy that's proven, okay? That's proven. Because just like what I said, it's not about how you feel, okay? It's about what the numbers can prove. If the numbers can prove you correct, then guess what? You have something. If the numbers cannot prove it correct, then it's just a gut feeling and you're just going to probably end up losing. So you have to dig deeper about what the numbers can actually prove in every single bet that you look at, whether it's a player prop, a money line, a total, a spread. You need to know that the numbers prove you right, not your brain just thinking that this team's better than this team or this player is going to hit their prop because they're good. You can't think that way. If the numbers can't prove it, then there's no reason why you should bet it. These two key concepts that I just taught you right now are going to be the most important thing you've ever learned in sports betting. It's not about the strategies, it's not about the picks, it's about your emotional control, and it's about exactly knowing what the numbers can rather than what you think. And if you guys want me to share with you all the strategies that I know throughout every single major sport and shortcut everything because you can see exactly what I play on a daily basis, make sure you guys click the link in the description. As always, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.